And I appreciate the very generous invitation to be here with you this morning. I want to thank you all for inviting me here. These are trying times in Alabama, but everyone in this room knows a thing or two about confronting trying times. And everybody knows about looking to leaders who can help us through trying times. Leaders who show us the light when it seems darkest. We lost one of those leaders this month. When times were very dark in Alabama, the Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth was a beacon of light. And all of us who fight for civil rights today, particularly all of us in the immigration rights movement, owe a deep debt of gratitude to those who have gone before us and led our path with hope, even at the darkest times. Reverend Shuttlesworth was one of those men, and I want to convey my deepest sympathies to his family, and I want to convey my deepest admiration for him to all of you. I believe it is because of the examples of people like Reverend Shuttlesworth that we are going to win this battle in Alabama for fairness for immigrants. Reverend Shuttlesworth knew the depths of hatred. He was attacked and faced intimidation. His family was attacked. He was sent to the hospital. But did he turn and run? Did he give up? Did he fill with hate? No, he taught us to forgive, but he also taught us to never give up. And so I think it's fitting as we reflect on the life and leadership of Reverend Shuttlesworth that we look forward and back. On behalf of people in Alabama who are falling victim to the state's anti-immigrant hysteria. Reverend Shuttlesworth showed us the way. The civil rights movement has shown us the way. It's dark now, but I believe we'll see some light. And as we have just finally dedicated a memorial to Dr. Martin Luther King, I think it's fitting to use his words as we think about how we all can respond to the current crisis. One of my favorite passages from his speech at the March on Washington is one I don't believe we remember or repeat often enough. Reverend Martin Luther King said, quote, "We refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So we have come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice." The riches of freedom and the security of justice. He was talking about African Americans in 1963, but he could have been talking about American immigrants in 2011. He could be talking about Alabama's immigrants today, and one group is persecuted, singled out, discriminated against. As immigrants in Alabama today are, then we are all at risk. All of us, Latino, immigrant, black, student, young, old, fifth generation, first generation. The civil rights movement continues. It's not over. Today's immigrants are in a civil rights struggle. They are being driven out of the state of Alabama, and the people driving them away are proud of it. They will tell you straight to your face, our plan is working. Kids who can't go to school, families who can't make a living, native-born Alabama farmers who can't have their crops picked, native-born Alabama restaurant owners who don't have any customers left. All of this suffering is part of an anti-immigrant leader's plan. They're proud of it because they say it's working. They are proud if people are leaving Alabama out of fear, even if it's hurting people who've never lived a day outside the state of Alabama. By singling out one group of people for persecution, we're all being singled out for persecution. Who in Alabama's draconian immigration law hurting? Immigrants? Yes, of course, but not just immigrants. The anti-immigrant law in Alabama isn't just hurting immigrants, it's hurting farmers who are having trouble picking their crops. Those are Alabama farmers. Store owners who are losing customers and money. Those are Alabama store owners. Restaurant owners who are losing their workers. They're U.S. citizen and legal immigrant workers who are taking their children and family elsewhere. Alabama owners of restaurants are losing their livelihood. Residents who are waiting long times in line for basic services. Long lines. Go and get your driver's license renewed. Go and get your sticker on your car renewed. Those are Alabama residents that are suffering in those wrongs, right? My friends, this new law isn't just anti-immigrant, it's anti-Alabama. You can't hurt immigrants without hurting everyone. All people were demeaned by segregation and Jim Crow. All people were demeaned by it. White, black, Latino. All people, not just African Americans, but everyone. And all people are demeaned by laws that treat immigrants as criminal. All people. The good book, the book that guided Dr. King and Reverend Shuttlesworth, says, quote, "Whatsoever you do to the least of my people, you do unto me." It's simple but powerful words. What you do to the least of us, you do unto me. If you turn off the water of a hardworking immigrant in Alabama, you deny water to all of us. If you say you can't get married or you can't call the police without risking arrest or deportation, you're denying fundamental rights to all of us. If you intimidate parents into not sending their children to school, then you deny the right to learn and educate all of us. You cannot deny the riches of freedom and the security of justice to immigrants of Alabama without denying freedom and justice to all of us. Reverend Shuttlesworth knew it. The good book knows it. The Alabama NAACP knows it. And I've come here to say thank you. All of the good and honest and decent people of Alabama know it. And people from all across America understand freedom and justice, know it too. What you do to the least of us, you do unto me. When any of us are diminished, we're all diminished. I am fortunate enough to travel across the country and our nation talking to immigrants and talking with civil rights leaders. I can tell you it's not just Alabama. Immigrants across America are worried, but they are looking to Alabama for guidance and leadership and inspiration. Because immigrants want to know, and want to know so badly, that they're not alone. And they want to know that when they are attacked, they won't be fighting back alone. That people who care about freedom and justice will stand with them. They want to cash that check for the riches of freedom and the security of justice. Immigrants don't ask a lot. They aren't asking for a free ride. They don't want a mansion. They don't want a limousine. In fact, what some immigrants want is a chance to clean the mansion out and to tend the lawn. Clean the car and drive Miss Daisy in the limousine. They'll get the mansion later. Maybe their kids will or their grandkids. All they're asking for today is an opportunity to work long hours and hard jobs so they can provide for their family. That's really all. But here in Alabama, our enemies are willing to hurt everyone: farmers, business owners, construction contractors, legal immigrants, U.S. citizens, all of us in this room, just to show how they can be tough on immigrants. They will hurt 1,000 Alabama citizens as long as they can hurt one immigrant. That's right. It's not right. 1,000 Alabamans for one immigrant is just not right. And that's our challenge here in Alabama, to show the rest of America, just like you showed the rest of America before 40 years ago, that when you attack immigrants, you attack every person who cares about freedom and justice. And you just don't attack people who English might not be that great. People who might be afraid to speak out. People who don't always understand their rights. When you attack immigrants, you attack the entire civil rights community. You attack Reverend Shuttlesworth's vision and what he gave his life for. You attack the struggle that put Alabama on the map in the struggle for freedom in the United States of America. You attack all of us who care about freedom and justice. And we know how to fight back, and we know how to win this battle. In this room, all of us in this room, we're here because we've seen a few bullies in our day. We know how bullies like to fight. They like to sneak up on people in the dark of night, outnumber people, and they pick on people who are afraid and many times alone. That's right. But in Alabama and across America, we can show the bullies that freedom-loving Americans will not leave their immigrants unseen. What we do for the least of us, you do unto me. Amen. Now I want to be clear, I don't think immigrants are the least of anything. In fact, I think they deserve great admiration and thanks for the contributions they make and the work they contribute. But the enemies of civil rights, the bullies looking for an easy target, the talking heads who want to make a quick soundbite, they think that immigrants can't fight back. I know we can prove them wrong. In the 1960s, men like Reverend Shuttleworth surprised the bullies. They stood their ground. They fought for their rights. They demanded the riches of freedom and the security of justice. Even when the Klan surrounded them and beat them with chains. Today, all of us sometimes are guilty of taking freedom and justice just a little bit for granted. But then attacks like these happen, and we have to remember that we must remain vigilant. We can never give up. Protecting our rights isn't a part-time job. It's overtime work. When Dr. King spoke those words at the Lincoln Memorial, his meaning was clear. That every human being, despite the color of their skin, or the sound of their accent as they spoke English, or the papers they carried with them, could enjoy the riches of freedom, the security of justice, the freedom to attend school and learn, the justice to not be harassed by a police officer because they look a little different, the freedom to work hard for a fair wage, even if it's a low wage, the freedom to work, the justice to take your modest paycheck home without being taunted or terrorized or treated like a criminal. That's all hardworking immigrants of Alabama ask. It's all any human being asks, a reasonable request. I think the people of Alabama are waking up to the enormity of their so-called leaders in Montgomery have done. Let's be honest and call it what it is. It's a national disgrace. I hope that those of you in this room, those of you who are on the front lines every day standing up for civil rights, can show America what the people of Alabama really are about. I know, because I am a product of your record in standing up for civil rights, for justice and fairness, and the dignity that all human beings are granted by God. I know that you can't go too far when guided by mentors like Reverend Shuttlesworth. I know that we're all in this together. We all know what's going on. We've seen it happen. They can't pick the crops, so first they pay lousy wages with terrible working conditions to immigrants. And when they couldn't exploit them enough, now they want to get rid of them in Alabama so they can take youth out of the jail, sentence to jail, to work those fields for 35 cents an hour. Their plan is clear, to get something for nothing and to exploit working men and women. Just watch what their next step is. It's been repeated before. After the Emancipation Proclamation, they passed laws throughout the South to do what? To jail black men and incarcerate them. Supposedly for failing laws of vagrancy. So you didn't have a job, so we'll lock you in jail, so we'll make you get out of jail when we're finished working you. You know it's true. And it's beginning to repeat itself once again. And we're going to say no to it. Injustice in Alabama, for me, is injustice in Chicago. So you can count on me to help you in any way I can. And together, we're going to cash that check. Together, we're going to bring home the riches of freedom and the security of justice. Just as we did in the past when 40 years ago, there were those that would stand at the doorways of schools to deny black children the right to desegregated schools. Today they stand in those very gates of those schools to deny brown children of immigrants. We beat them then, we will beat them again. America is a greater country because we all love it so much. Thank you so much.